Alright guys, this video is going to go over how to set up the project that I sent you guys, how to get all the tools and all the things that I've showed you in previous videos and implement them. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the Google Drive and you're going to look for the black.zip eventually after it's done uploading. It's obviously got a while to go. You will find it, so if you go to the black folder here, you will find it under projects, builds, and packages, and you will go to projects, and it will be in here. It'll be the black.zip. When you are done with the black.zip and downloading it, you will get something that looks like this, the black. All you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and typically what I'll do in Windows, I'll just double click to open it. I'll grab it, I'll copy or paste it, and then you copy or paste it to whatever folder you want to put it, where you will remember it, so that you can put items into it later without having to import them within Unity. You can go ahead and drag and drop them into the folder system. Eventually you'll get your folder called the black. If you open it up, it'll have all sorts of different stuff in here. It'll have you won't have this. I just have that in there from previous. You'll have the black underscore prototype, which is the actual project itself. You'll have the virtual bus driver, the scp control.dll, the scp control XML file, and the scp server. If you have a PlayStation 4 controller, great. That will allow you to connect your controller Bluetooth and use it as if it were an Xbox controller for the game. You can also use it within the editor, so there's that. If you do not have a PS4 controller and you have an Xbox 360 controller that can plug into your computer, you do not need to install the SCP server. You can if you want to, it doesn't matter. If you do not have an Xbox controller, keyboard controls do work in the game just fine. If you want to use the PS4 one, go ahead and you'll open up the virtual bus driver and you'll go ahead and just double click this thing right here that says SCP driver. It will install. Then you'll be able to close it, and then after there you can double click this and turn it on. It'll say something like UDP worker thread starting if it actually worked. These little buttons here will show something like wireless controller blah 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 with a bunch of text that's telling you which controllers are actually connected. You can go ahead and stop that. You do not have to start this before. The game in the editor or the game itself should start it if it's in this folder here. If it doesn't start it in the editor, and you'll know if it started because this little icon will be down there and it'll be minimized. If it doesn't start on its own, you can go ahead and just start it yourself if you want to use the PS4 controller. If not, whatever, forget it. Anyways, this is right here, the black prototype is the actual project. So that's inside of the black folder. If you click on it, you'll see you have assets in here. Do not touch library, OBJ, project. Do not touch any of it. The only thing you're allowed to open is assets. When you open assets, you'll get the folder system that's the exact same folder system that will be in Unity. In here, you can go ahead and you can drag and drop items or objects. So in AI meshes, you can drag and drop the AI model. And then you can go ahead and drag and drop his animations in there. If you're using FBX, obviously you don't need to drop animations in there. Just go ahead and drop the model in here as an FBX into the meshes. And then from there, you can create the animations in Unity. And then once all of that's set together, you will make a copy of the model with the animations and the textures and the materials and everything on it. And then you will go ahead and put it in the AI prefabs mobs folder or boss folder, which you'll do this all within Unity when you do that, but I'm just showing you that you can drag and drop stuff in here. So when you have like the diffuse texture or the normal texture or whatever texture that you have, you can go ahead and just put it in AI textures. And then in Unity, when you create a material, you'll put it in AI materials. Then you'll go to AI textures, drag and drop the texture of the AI onto the material that you made. Then you'll take that material and you'll drag and drop it on the AI mesh. And then you'll take that and drag and drop it into prefabs, so you have that object that has the texture and the material and all that stuff. So he's done. Also, like any AI audio, so screaming, footsteps, attack sounds, stuff like that would all go in there. And this is just an example. It'd be the same thing for characters too. So you can go to characters and then here are character meshes. So you put like the little girl model, the dog model, the rat model. And then the textures, so the little girl's diffuse texture, the dog's diffuse texture, and the rat's diffuse texture. If they don't have one, that's fine. You can just use the shader. Um, and then their animations, which will be set up in Unity. You can drag and drop in here, all that good stuff. Some examples are like I created the book. So the book's a little bit different. It doesn't really have, it's not really a model. So I put book example, and here I have the actual texture pages. Some of them are backwards. They're supposed to be, but that's just an example. And then animation, these are all the animations that were required in order to create the book animations. And then here's the prefab, which I probably should make a folder for. So I could just do this, and I could go book prefab and drag and drop that in there. Anyways, so yeah, characters, it works the same way. So this is how we'll keep everything organized. Scenes, all the scenes. So that's the actual scene itself. I feel like there's something missing. There probably should be. I'm surprised it's not in here already. A levels folder. Maybe it's props. Yeah, props. You can put props. So for props, you can go to like Broken City, and then here, like these would be all the Broken City meshes. This is where they should be. Like I know that when you previously did it, I believe it's in scenes right now. Black City. No. I think I threw it in placeholders. Yeah, city assets, like all of these, all of those, these FBXs would go into that Broken City props meshes folder, and all these prefabs would go into the Broken City prefabs folder. So all of those that are in the placeholders right now should go into the props, Broken City, and then Broken City meshes. This is where all the FBX should be dropped into. And then the Broken City prefabs. Now, if you want to go ahead and do that, go into the placeholders folder and move them. That's great. But do that inside of Unity. Do not do that outside of Unity. If I were to do it right now and then start up Unity, they would lose all the references. So if I started up the Broken City scene, all of those objects in the scene are all referencing the models that are in a specific folder. Now, if I move it outside of Unity, it's going to look into the folder that they were in and go, wow, that folder's not there anymore. Where's the model? And then all of a sudden, all the models disappear. Like all the transform, like the pivot points are still there, but they have like no meshes referenced. When you move them in Unity, it moves that directory. So if it was like, hey, the chair is in this folder, in this folder, in this folder, bam, there's the chair mesh. I'm going to draw that chair mesh. If I were to move it in Unity, to a different folder, it's going to re-reference to that directory. So it's going to go to that folder, that folder, that folder, in that new directory when you move it within Unity. So do not move it outside of Unity. Please. It will screw so many things up. Anyways, that's how you would end up doing that. And then obviously you have like that platform animation, which is another prop. So you'd go ahead and put that in the Broken City animations folder. So I'm going to go ahead and say that props are anything in the level that's not a character, basically. So if it's a building or a lamp or a chair or the ground or a fence, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to call that a prop. I mean, that's not necessarily the proper term for it, but we're just going to go ahead and call it a prop, and then we'll all go in here. Now, if you want to subcategorize these, so if you want to go to BC meshes and you want to put in here and you want to put stuff like assets and then props or something like that, you can do that. But let's just go ahead and call them props, and they'll all go in the props folder for now. Scenes, if it's a scene, just throw it in there. There's no specific folder inside of that for that. Scripts, do not go into the scripts folder ever, please, because all the stuff that you use that are scripts should be in the tools folder. So this is where all the tools will be. These are scripts. Well, these aren't scripts. These are actually prefabs that I built for you, but they already have the scripts attached to them. There's a couple scripts that aren't in here, but you should add the scripts through add component. Don't go into the scripts folder and move things, because you might accidentally move it into another folder when you're trying to drag and drop it onto the object, and that will cause a lot of problems. Gizmos, that was for the notes. Don't worry about that. Just leave it as it is. Editor, leave that as it is. Audio, so if you have just songs, just throw them in here. Asset packs, if you if you actually go onto the asset store, the store, and import a package, put that folder that it puts into the project into here. I'm not talking about, I'll show you what I'm talking about too in a minute as I start this up. Anyways, so that should probably actually be in there too. So I'm going to go over this again real quick. I'm going to open up Unity. Now whatever, it's going to start up automatically with whatever project you had before. This one's actually starting where that was, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So you just go to here and you'll go to open project, and wherever you put that folder is where you're going to go. So you're going to go to open other, and then you're going to go to wherever that folder was. So like if I look here, there was, I'm going to go to black. This was where the zip was. I unzipped it here. It was called the black. And then the project folder was the black prototype. So you click on that folder and then you'll hit select folder. Then it's going to start it up. Mine's already referencing everything, but yours is going to go in there and it's going to start adding all of the everything. So it might take a while. Anyways, then you're going to be in here, and that folder system that I showed you before is right down here. I'm going to go ahead. I want to move ambience into asset packs because that's what it should go. So what goes in the asset packs here is anything from the Unity store. Now my internet's being stupid, so I have to reconnect. Okay. So the asset store is the actual store, like where you buy stuff. That if anything's downloaded from there, it'll go into the asset packs. If you add a package from here, do not put it in the asset packs folder. These are built into Unity. They come with Unity. These will automatically be added to this standard assets folder, so you don't have to worry about putting it anywhere else. This should also be in the asset packs folder. So there might be a little bit of cleaning up to do, but that should be it right there. So I'm going to show you how to do this real quick. So you go to placeholders, city assets. These are all the FBXs. So if I grab these FBXs like that, and I go to this left pane to the left here, I can go to the props folder right here, and I go ahead and drag and drop into the props folder. Then when I go to the props folder, I'm going to drag and drop these into Broken City. I'm going to open the Broken City, re-grab them, and drag these and drop these into meshes. Now, since I moved it inside of Unity, it's re-referenced everything, so it's still going to be fine. Like everything is going to be fine when I open up the scene, but now it's organized. Now it's inside of the props, Broken City, meshes. So if these weren't prefabs already, I'd go ahead and drag and drop that in and then make a prefab out of it. But we already have the prefabs. So I'm going to go back to placeholders, city assets, prefabs, drag and drop these into the props folder. Be very careful when you do this, because if you accidentally drag and drop it, you want to make sure that there's a circle encompassing the folder. I already have that folder open, so I'm going to go to prefabs, drop it in there. So now they're in the prefabs folder. Now it's organized. Then I can actually go back to this placeholders, open it up, make sure it's empty. It is. Now I can delete it. I'll delete that folder. Ta-da! If you want to try that, go ahead and do that. But don't move anything else in the placeholders folder. These will be deleted eventually, but for now, I'm using a lot of these things, even in the game. So like the little girl and the bat and all that stuff, those are all a part of this, the placeholder. So just if you want to move the city assets thing, that's fine. Otherwise, just leave it be. Plugins, leave that be too. Don't touch that. This is what allows the controller, the Xbox controller, to speak with the game. So do not move that, leave it there. Anyways, for the tools folder is stuff that you can place to make puzzles and stuff. So you have the level loader, which I created recently. If you don't want to have to go over here to find it again, up to here, because it does disappear when you don't click it, because it's just the collider. Go ahead and come up to here and drag and drop and just pick one of these. So you can pick like red, and it'll show up there. So even when it's unclicked, it shows up there. So it's the level loader. You can click on it. You can actually click on it like that and zoom in on it, since there's no actual mesh that's a part of it. So for the level loader, all you gotta do is just place it. The player collides with this box to actually load the level, and then you'll just pick the level that you want to load. So 0 is the main menu. Don't go back to the main menu if yet. Just actually, probably you guys probably don't even have to do this anymore because I've already kind of implemented it. But if you want to move the one that already exists in the hospital, that's fine. Or if you want to build one in this city to go back to the hospital, that's fine too. This number, the level to load, is referencing this. So you go to File, Build Settings. Here are the levels, and then there's the number it relates to. So the main menu is 0, the hospital is 1, and the city is 2. So if I wanted to go to the city, I would just change this to 2. Not a big deal. So that's what the level loader does. You just place that in level wherever you want to start. Starting point is you place that wherever you want the player to start. If they die, that's where they go back to. So it's basically a respawn point. Only put one in the level because it's only going to look for one. If you put more, it'll pick a random one. Actually, it doesn't even pick a random one. I'm not even sure which one it's going to pick, but it will always pick that one. So just put one in there. If you want to move the one that's already in the city, you can. It's fine. Then you have the switch volume, which I went through in depth with in another video. So you drag and drop that, make your switch objects for the puzzles, and then you have your trigger volume, which I showed as well. And you can rescale these and move them around, the box sizes, all that stuff. This one I did show in the city in the last progress video. It showed the enemies spawning behind the walls. So it was on AI. I grabbed the bad guy here. I spawned like 5 of them. New thing I implemented for this though is this trigger volume now comes with a spawn point that is deactivated. You can add as many of them as you want, but what you do is I say I want the bad guys to spawn somewhere other than the center of this box. Move this spawn point thing right down here into spawn point, and then move this spawn point wherever you want them to spawn. So when the player collides with this box here, it will spawn enemies, but it'll spawn the enemies over here. So you can have like they walk through a door, it spawns enemies in a different room type of thing. Then activate it. It's deactivated because by default you don't have to have one. It'll just spawn them at the center of the box. And then you can have more than one. So if you want more than one, just hit Control D to duplicate another one. So now I have 2 here. And if you go to trigger volume, there's 1 spawn point per item in the list. So I could add another item in the list here. It's another bad guy. This time I'll spawn 20 of them, and I'm going to drop in this other spawn point. You can even rename them so you actually know the difference between the 2 of them. See right there, spawn point 2 and spawn point. So the first one, it'll spawn 5 guys at this spawn point, and once again you can change these. You can put little tags on them. It's all good. I probably should have done that for you guys. But those are the 2 spawn points relating to this box. And you can, if you move the box, it's going to move the spawn points with it because the spawn points are children of that box. So you might have to remove them if you wanted to move the trigger box. So that's the new trigger volume with the new spawn points. It'll automatically register any spawn points that are children of this. You can tell if it's a child because when you collapse it, it disappears with it. So there's that now. It works for props too. Props have a spawn point too if you want them. Otherwise, like I said, by default, if there are no spawn points, like if I take the spawn point out of this guy here and I hit say none, what's going to happen is it's going to spawn 5 guys at that spawn point, and then it's going to spawn 20 guys inside of the box because that's the default. This spawn point does nothing. I can actually delete it. It doesn't matter. Anyways, that's what you get with the new trigger volume. When you drag and drop it in, it has a deactivated spawn point. You can activate it and then place it in the list for whichever guys you want to spawn at a certain point. You can even do 1 guy per multiple points. It's totally up to you guys. Those are the 4 tools that there are now, and then there's sub tools. I probably should have put them in a different folder for you guys too, so that it was a little bit easier for you to reference. But in this case, I'll show you real quick. If you make a puzzle object, like a cube, go ahead and zoom on the cube. This cube needs to be able to be activated by the switch volume. So switch items. So it's a switch item. There you go. Now it can be activated by the switch volume. Or if this was a light, then you would use the light switch. Sorry, I just picked a level switch. Do not put the level switch on anything. There's already an object for that. Use that object. Light switch. So the light switch obviously needs to be on a light, not a cube. This cube has no light component, so it's going to try and grab a light component that doesn't exist. And then I know there's another one. There's a switch I forgot to make for you guys. It was the audio switch. I'll make that, and then I'll give you guys a package that will add it to the project that I'm actually uploading now. I can't believe I forgot. So what the audio switch will do is it's the same thing as the switch items, except for it's gonna or the light switch, but instead it's gonna activate sound. So it'll activate any sound wherever the sound is whenever you collide with the box or click on a button or whatever. I feel like I'm just forgetting one. Let me look through all the scripts here. Like I said, like don't open this folder and drag and drop these, because if these get taken out of this folder, it could cause so many problems. Let's see here. Oh crap, the kill Z object. I'll show you guys how to get that. I think I forgot to make it a prefab. Light switch. No, it's pretty. Oh, there's spawner. There's the spawner. That's the one I'm forgetting. So the other object is the spawner. So the spawner is just, at this point, things will spawn. So obviously with the trigger volume, it kind of makes this one obsolete. But if you wanted a switch volume to spawn guys, then you would use this. I mean, if you press a button, maybe you want something to spawn when you press that button. The trigger volume won't do that. So that's what that's fair for. Anyways, so those are the subtool objects that I've showed you in another video. So hopefully you guys don't miss those. I want to see if I even put the kill Z in here, other than, no, I didn't. Okay, so what I want you guys to do so that you have this tool, because you're going to need it if you want to implement it, is go to scenes, the scenes folder, go ahead and open up Black City. It doesn't really matter if you save or don't save it, everything's still the same. Here's the level. Wow. So, as I was saying before, when you move an item outside of Unity, see what happens? It is dereferenced. The children's book doesn't actually, it's not a prefab anymore. I could go back, I'll move it back now, so that book prefab, I will move this outside of that so that maybe it can re-reference it, but there's no way to re-reference it. Yay! See how I screwed that up? Now what I should be able to do here is go to books, delete it, and re-reference it. Ta-da! Not the prefab again. Okay, but imagine doing that for every single one of these objects. Okay, that's the dust storm. Anyways, if this dust storm gets you in the way because like the particles are in midair, so you're trying to click on stuff and it clicks on the dust storm, just go ahead and go to the dust storm and just deactivate it. And then reactivate it once you're testing or whatever. Anyways, here's the kill Z object. So you want this thing. That's all it is. It's just a kill Z object. It has a kill Z script on it, and it has the box collider, which is a trigger. So go ahead and just click on that guy, and then go to the tools folder, and just click and drag him into the tools folder. And then you'll have that as a tool as well. So for the kill Z, all you do is you drag and drop it in. Then you have the collider. Whatever, you make it as big or small as you want. You place it in the world. If this isn't an infinite line, the player actually has to collide with that in order for it to activate. So you're going to want to make sure this is under anywhere the player is falling. And then you just place it under like the whole city. And then at that point, at that Y value right here, that's where the player is going to die. And when the player dies, they're just reset back to the start position, which you can see right there, the starting point. And then as an example to show you about the spawning thing, I had a spawning, here's a trigger volume with the AI here. Kind of a pain to grab. Once again, you can change that so that you can actually have something to see there. So it shows trigger volume there. I can actually click on it. It'll select the trigger volume. And then in here I have the spawn point, which is right there. And I'll go ahead and put this on there. So there was a spawn point. So whenever in the video, whenever the rat or the player had collided with this box, which I probably should have put further past the hole so they had actually had a chance of getting through the hole before, this entire area is full of enemies. But it's going to spawn 5 guys right there on that spawn point. Because in the trigger volume here, I have the spawn point right there, and it says it's going to spawn 5 bad guys. And then it's an AI trigger one, so it's going to spawn there. There's no props. By default, it's on props. If it's not working, it's because it's on props. You need to make sure it's on AI or all. Anyway, so that's how you get the kill Z. That's pretty much all there is to know. Hopefully this folder setup here is straightforward. Yes, sometimes when you're looking for something specific, you're like, where is it? Oh yeah, it's right here, tools. But sometimes it's a little painful just because there's so many folders. But I tried to clean it up to make it as simple as possible. Books could probably actually go into props as well. I wouldn't put it any deeper in props. I wouldn't put it in Broken City or Hospital because they're kind of separate, but they are props, so you can put them in books there if you want to clean it up. Anyways, this should be your setup right here. Just go ahead and put books in there because whenever I give you a package, if we update the books, they need to be in this specific folder. Otherwise, there's gonna be issues. So your folder setup should always be like this. Do not add or take away any folders. You just leave it as is. Just go ahead and move books into there and move that ambience, this ambience folder right here that was out here. Move that into asset packs. I think that was all I moved. That's very important though. Very, very, very important. And tools, if you want to throw the kill Z in there, that's fine. But mostly what's important is that these folders are in the same place. There's no additional if you want to add a folder because there's something that these don't cover, add the folder. Do not take away a folder or change its name. Only change the name of an object in a folder if you... That's kind of hard to explain. Let's see here. AI prefabs, for example. If I change this guy, keep his name the same. Like I've updated this guy. I want everyone to have that update. Keep the name the same. If I have a bad guy 2, so if I duplicate this guy, and he's completely different, or bad guy 1, he's completely different. Like he's just like this guy, but he has some slightly changed values. Like he has a higher jump, or he attacks faster, or whatever. He's bigger, a little bit bigger. Then yeah, name him differently. But if you want everybody else in the team to have the updated guy, you need to have the name the same in the same folder that it was to begin with, so that it overwrites everybody else's, so that everyone gets the new one. Don't screw up any of the guys, because if you overwrite this bad guy, for example, and this bad guy's already good, and you change his values to what you thought was good, but it's actually crap, it's going to be really hard for us to get the original guy back. It does make importing packages 100 times easier. It makes it a lot easier for everybody to get updates, but there is the downside that if you overwrite it, you can't get it back, type of thing. Hopefully we can use previous projects. I'll save previous projects, so if somebody downloads a huge package and it overwrites a bunch of stuff and it really screws it up, there will be a previous package to reset, so don't worry about that. But yeah, make sure this folder setup is exactly the same. I'm serious. For example, if Julius or John went into props, or Orion or whoever went into props, and they went into Broken City, and they went into meshes, and they opened up this fire escape mesh, the fire escape mesh, and they changed that fire escape mesh, okay, and then they overwrote this one, they would want to keep it in this folder so that when they go to, for example, I just want to I just want to package out BC meshes because I updated that fire escape, for example. I'm going to export the package, and then right here, notice how the folder says assets, props, Broken City, BC meshes. It's going to overwrite the BC meshes folder that's inside of Broken City, that's inside of props, that's inside of assets. if it's not in that same folder, it's going to make another BC Meshes folder somewhere else. You know what I mean? And then it doesn't update everybody's stuff. Just trust me on this. Just keep everything in the same folder with the same name, unless it's a new object, obviously. If it's a new object, it's just going to add it to it. But if it's an old object that's updated and you want everybody else to have the update, same name, same folder. Trust me. It'll make everything 100 times easier. Alright, well that's pretty much all that I have to share with you guys. Please just follow the video and place those few things in the folders that I told you inside of Unity, please. I totally screwed mine up. Once again with the books, I can go ahead, now that I'm in Unity, I can go ahead and move them in there and it won't lose the reference like it did before. And then you can save it out by hitting Control S or going to File and save the scene, save the project, and then you're good to go. Now your project is in there. I hope this video was helpful. If you guys have any questions or concerns about the project and implementing it and moving those few little folders there, please let me know.